Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 10, Episode 97. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being here this Friday. Hopefully everyone is staying safe and indoors. Dave, how you doing? I know you're staying safe and indoors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't have to – well, I don't know. We've been trying to go out to the park, for about an hour every evening just to walk around, take my phone with me, so I'm still kind of tied into everything there. But about all you can do and, occasional trip to a grocery store for supplies. But, yeah, that's it, which is really pretty much business as usual for me anyway.
And for those who didn't see, Dave Bryan was the birthday boy yesterday, so happy birthday to you, Dave. I'm sure I said mandatory quarantine was the greatest gift you could ever be given.
Yeah, absolutely. 52 years on the third rock from the sun. So, I'm surprised I've made it this long. I'm going to see if I can hang around a few more before I go elsewhere.
Well, we hope so. And on the Steelers side of things, a couple notes to start with. The Steelers signed 4 players to their offseason roster yesterday, 3 from the XFL, so I think they're up to 8 former XFL players. That is by far the most in the league. And I'll be honest, I was kind of stumped by these names. Maybe you could help me out here a little bit, Dave. It is cornerback Breon Borders, tackle Anthony Coyle, center John Kenoy, and defensive back Aaron Springs. And those names really didn't ring much of a bell to me, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, they didn't me either. But Kevin Colbert tells no lie. No lies detected, right? He told us
52, but you got the heart of a 22-year-old, Dave.
You're
lit with it.
I hear you. I'm lit. But no lies detected. Kevin Colbert told us that could see some more XFL products or players signed here as the offseason progressed, and 3 more out of this group of 4 yesterday. I don't know where you want to start on these. Obviously, I haven't taken deep dives into a lot of these players. I think probably the most impressive one might be the defensive back area on Springs. I think an Oregon product, entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs. He spent bounced around with the Saints, the Browns, and the Raiders the last 2 seasons. He played most recently in the XFL with the Vipers and the Wildcats. He's an interesting prospect, and I think he's got maybe a little bit of versatility to him, your position flexibility to him as well, too. Anthony Coyle out of Fordham played, I think, both tackle spots there. John Kenoy played center at Western Michigan, played along with Chuks Okorafor, and was on the same team, I think, with Robert Spillman as well, too. So,
Spillane.
Spillman. I keep you keep waiting for it. I'm going to get that tattooed on me. I keep wanting to call.
That's how you learn Okorafor's last name.
Yeah.
It's about those Western Michigan guys.
I don't know. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Spillman for some reason. But anyway, Spillane come from out of Western Michigan as well, and Kenoy was quoted by one of those papers as saying he looks forward to playing with those 2 former teammates again. A little bit, I think, undersized maybe with him. 6'2" and 7'8", 299 pounds. Obviously, this was back coming out of his 2019 pro day. I have not looked at his Dallas Renegades XFL tape yet, so maybe I'll get to that at some point there. And really don't know much about Breon Borders, who was a Duke product, came into the NFL originally in 2017 with the Raiders, and he's actually spent some time on some 53-man rosters, and has bounced around to the Bills, the Texans, the Jaguars, and Redskins. Some of that time, I think, with the Jaguars and Redskins was spent specifically on their practice squads, but I think with the Bills and the Texans, he actually spent, a little bit of time on their 53-man rosters. High, pretty decent tackle total there. Pretty decent, measurables. But once again, another kid. I don't think he comes out of the XFL. I think he's
Right.
one of the four that did not. But look, I mean, Kevin, you got to expand the roster a little bit there, and when you look at some of the measurables, especially like the measurables on Borders, he's got kind of that athletic profile they look for.
Yeah, 5'11.5", 190 pounds, ran his 40 at 4.49 seconds in 2017. He's the one guy, Borders is, that has NFL experience. I think he has like a dozen tackles in his career, so he's the one guy that's actually played on Sundays. So that may give him a very small leg up, though. Of course, the other three have played football probably more recently, playing in the XFL, so maybe it balances out. But yeah, guys, for the offseason, we'll see who can make some noise. Maybe there'll be a camp sleeper in there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we'll see how the draft and all shakes out, and I'll have to go look and see how Kenoy did with the Dallas Renegades and all. But maybe there's a practice squad spot available for a center type player,
Right.
such as him. So yeah, look, I mean, these kind of popped out of nowhere on Thursday, and none of the names really, they had to be researched because we just didn't know a lot about them.
Yeah, but again, as we always say with these signings, they do not change draft plans one iota. They're there for depth purposes, not that they're going to plug any sort of major holes on the roster. So those are the 4 signings. Well, and the roster's up to what, 77? I believe 77 of the 90.
Let's
That's what they just said, 73. I want to say. They're around 77, I would say.
Yeah, let me see if I've got my totals updated on my sheet here. I think I've got them at 76, maybe.
Okay.
Let's see. Who are the last? Let's see. Borders, Coyle, Kenoy, Springs, Walker, Hendricks, Cannell, Kuntz, and Blacknall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if those are the most recent guys, here's the thing: people keep asking about who was the converted the Notre Dame product.
Jaron Jones.
Yeah, he has not been officially announced yet. So.
So he's not part of that 76 you have?
No, he's not part of that 76. So we'll see. We'll see if anything, if he fell through the cracks or anything. It's been several weeks since it was reported that he'd be signing with them. The team is yet to announce that. I think of all the XFL players that have been had been reported, dating back the last couple of weeks, I think he's the only one that hasn't been announced by the Steelers yet. So if he had when and if that happens, I think he would be 77 then.
Okay, well, if we assume that he's still good to go, that's 77 players on the roster plus 6 draft picks, so that puts you at, 83 there, and then that leaves you 7 UDFAs, and so you're probably expecting a smaller UDFA class this year with the uncertainty of it. I think that's another reason why the Steelers have done some of these visits with some day 3 type guys, because they want to try to learn about some potential undrafted players when the chaos of the post-draft happens.
I think you could still see maybe like 10 or so undrafted and then just peel off some of these, kind of holdovers, from maybe the practice squad or something like that, But it obviously they have the flexibility to do either. And look, they're not going to have, you're not going to have the rookie mini camps, right? So you're not going to have that slew of tryout players that you might be able. How many Boy, they had quite a few tryout players that got signed last year. You know.
I think 4 or 5.
And
including Doc Hodges.
Yeah, including Hodges. Yeah. So, obviously you're not going to get that this year. So yeah, you might be right. You might actually, when the dust clears, you might have a smaller list. Here's the thing though, the smaller the list, the more you can probably pay some of the higher caliber ones to get them to sign with you, because obviously there is still a rookie kind of pool, if you will, when it comes to the undrafted free agent bonus pool, if you will. I think that pool is going to be around, I forget what Joe Corey put out there, around 115,000 in total. Now, obviously some teams will guarantee, portions of base salaries or whatnot. The Steelers, as we had a talk, probably a little over a year or a little less than a year ago, don't normally do that. But if they have a smaller UDFA class, then they can allocate, larger percentages of that as bonus money, signing bonus money to maybe entice some of these higher priority guys. I mean, what would you rather have? 4 or 5 really, really good, higher quality ones, or would you rather have, would you have just like to have a larger selection of mud to throw up against the wall,
Yeah, for sure. Quality over quantity. It's not how the Steelers have done business. I hope they change that, and this would be a good year to start. I was really looking forward to Kelly Bryant being a rookie tryout, quarterback arm. So disappointed in that. I felt like he was going to be a guy Pittsburgh would bring in, but yeah, no rookie mini camps. Anyway. So, moving off of that, Ben Roethlisberger spoke to the media. Who did he talk to yesterday?
It was
Sirius.
SiriusXM. It was Bruce Gronkowski and Bruce Murray. Very good show. I mean, look, if you don't have they're not advertisers of the show, but if you don't have a subscription to Sirius, you're doing it wrong, probably.
And so he spoke to Gronkowski and company, and I think the big thing he said was that he feels like he's pretty close to throwing an NFL pass. That is a new bar for him to shave his beard. He wants to throw what he considers an NFL pass, and he thinks he's pretty close. So again, nothing super concrete, but continued positive news out of the Ben Roethlisberger camp.
Yeah, his wife keeps getting on him to shave this beard. He keeps thinking that he's going to wake up one morning and it be shaved by her while he sleeps, a la Samson style, he said. But, that was part of the kind of the deal he made with himself while flying up to surgery after injuring the elbow last year, was that, hey, use that as kind of a goal, measuring stick, and he specifically told his wife that once he throws an NFL pass, now that doesn't necessarily mean in a game, but once he feels like he has thrown an NFL pass is when he will shave the beard off. So that obviously hasn't happened yet. It sounds like he feels like he's close to that happening, although, with no off-season program or anything like that, for the next time, he might be able to have a get-together with some of the receivers here, as the summer progresses and all. But even then, probably that's not going to happen, I wouldn't think, until, when does he usually like to take those guys out? Late May or something to his place in Georgia or whatnot? Isn't that usually when he?
Yeah, isn't it after just OTAs and mini camps?
I think it's at least after OTAs or whatnot. So, but we'll see if that happens. And I guess in short, I wouldn't expect the beard to come off anytime soon still, personally. And I think when he does, I'm willing to bet he makes some sort of spectacle out of it, a la Brett Kiesel style, and ends up, using it as a springboard to kind of, raise money for charity or what have you. So I think we'll all know when the beard comes off. Is what I'm getting at there. That'll as I wrote yesterday, I think we can look at that to be some sort of Yinzer bat signal.
Yeah, Ben said obviously this offseason is different for a variety of reasons, but also for Ben's personal schedule, because he says he never throws in the offseason. He wants to rest his arm. This year, a different story. He says, quote, but this one, referring to the offseason, seems obviously it's a lot different because of the surgery and everything. I'm throwing the ball 3 times a week right now, and that's just kind of to get into the feel and the groove of things. So Ben throwing 3 times a week, again, not an NFL pass yet, but I know that he's even said, because of the coronavirus and everything, no offseason programs, they're kind of scaling things back a little bit because it's less of an urgency, I guess, to do that right now. So he still seems to be on a good schedule, in a good place, and he feels like his body's, rehabbing really well.
He seems like, too, he's raring to just let one rip.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the most competitive guy on this team.
Right. And obviously they're using footballs that have the chips in them so they can measure, the velocity, the rotation amounts and all like that. And, they're probably saying, just take it easy, man. Just take it easy. Ain't no sense to go back and dip into your fastball, here just yet. And they should. Really, there's no reason to right now. And, we're obviously not doctors, but, we continue to get emails asking, well, what do you think about Ben, blah, blah, blah. Look, I think it goes back to kind of what we've said for several weeks now. We have no reason to believe that he's not on track and that he won't be ready and that he won't, be at least the same Ben he was before the surgery. Obviously, time will tell, but I mean, we could sit here and say, well, that's a serious surgery. His age, there's no chance that he's going to. We could play doom and gloom, or we could play the glass half full, route or viewpoint, however we want here. But I think we just got to look at what's being said right now, and we have until we have reason to believe otherwise. We have to go with what he's saying.
Yeah, and what the team and what doctors have been saying, and everything so far has been positive. Still a long ways to go, still some level of uncertainty, but again, so far so good when it comes to Ben and his rehab. Also, Ben was asked about his thoughts on if the Steelers draft a quarterback. The national media has been all over the idea, although we've pushed back on it greatly because the team has downplayed the idea so heavily, but Ben, very diplomatic in his answer this time compared to the last time he was asked about it prior to them drafting Mason Rudolph. Ben says, quote, well, they have to do what they have to do. We've got some quarterbacks on the roster, but if they feel like there's a better one out there, then they got to go get him, and that's their prerogative. That's why they are owners, the GMs, and the coaches, and we just play. And he later said it's not going to change his mindset or his mentality in returning. So probably a much smarter answer this time to not create any waves with his response to that question.
Yeah, if I had sound effects, and after 10, 11 years, you would think we would have some sort of sound effect function for this podcast. Maybe I'll get to that at some point. But
I don't trust you with a sound effect board.
I would insert a golf clap right here, sound effect, because if he says anything else than what he did, it's going to be, and heck, it might even still be on First Take or Last Take or whatever some of these national shows are, as Ben dares Steelers to take quarterback, that kind of thing. So I don't think he could have worded it any better. Obviously, people will probably try to dig deeper and nitpick into narrative. Look, if you didn't hear it, I heard the interview, okay? So I heard it in full context. It seemed genuine. It seemed a little planned, rehearsed, to some degree, but even so, it was the right thing to say. Now, look, does he have anything to worry about, period? Look, I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. You don't think they're going to draft a quarterback, although a lot of people think they do. Even if they do somehow draft a quarterback, this is Ben's team as long as Ben wants to play. And I'm talking even past 2021, too, even though that's very unlikely, I think. If this guy comes out, rips it the next 2 years and wants to keep playing, I have a hard time imagining the Steelers telling him, nah, go elsewhere. So, because we drafted so-and-so in the second or third round or whatnot, But regardless, everything sounded great on Ben's behalf on that interview on Sirius.
It did, and yeah, I mean, obviously, even if they were to draft a quarterback hypothetically, it's not going to change Ben's status. I guess the irritation from Ben would be, how about you give me some help as opposed to finding my replacement? That would be, I think, and then he would have a point with that, obviously, and that's why we've downplayed the idea of a quarterback and, let's focus on win now mode. You're in this, that's your window for the next 2 years is to win a Super Bowl, and you want to build around Ben as much as possible. So that would be the point of contention. But yeah, a very diplomatic but a smart answer there from Ryan. He's got a career in politics someday based off of that answer.
And also, too, him talking kind of in a roundabout way. He said, look, I'm excited to get back and play with this defense again. And why wouldn't he be? I mean, he talked about being on the sideline and how hard that was last year watching it, but in the same breath saying it was exciting to see that defense, play and grow like they did throughout the season. Obviously, the addition of Minka and Bush, and those guys are going to be another year experience this year. And look, for the most part, this defense, barring injury, knock on wood here, isn't going to be missing too many pieces from last year. And plus, obviously you lost Hargrave. Obviously Barron was out the door, but that was your own doing there. And look, you get Tuitt back, right? Or at least you're thinking that you're going to have Tuitt back and hopefully picking up where he left off last year on top of it. So really not a lot of holes top to bottom on this defense, and that really goes for the backups on this roster as well too. So if this offense can hold you, just Ben doesn't need to throw for 5,000, 6,000 yards. If he can come back and just give this offense some continuity and obviously increase the red zone zone, ability of this offense moving forward here, and then be able to run the ball a little bit better than obviously they did last year. I mean, Ben's return alone is going to help immensely across the board in several categories there. And, I think he genuinely believes that this team can compete for a championship in 2020, and I do as well, as long as he's healthy.
Sure. Again, we know how competitive Ben is, and I think he even kind of made a pass at this and said that seeing this defense and him missing this time just made him all the more motivated to come back and kind of relit a fire under him, and said, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want to go out as the injured quarterback that feels helpless, and so he wants to come back in the biggest way possible, and that's going to at least be helpful as that carrot when you're rehabbing. You have to put in that work that he's doing right now. So sure, Ben with this defense, it's even playing at a similar level, maybe a slightly lower level than last year, but still a really, really high level with Ben at quarterback. Sky's the limit for this team.
All right, that will probably be the last time we hear from Ben until after the draft. So, and hopefully, and we'll see if Ben ends up being asked questions about what did you think about the Steelers drafting a running or a quarterback. And maybe he'll be asked about a running back as well too. So we'll see.
I just hope the next time we hear from Ben, it's sans beard. It's a beardless Ben, and I think that's a possibility because I think at some point he's gonna, give him the old Rick Vaughn heater one time just to show that he's got it.
Yeah, possibly.
All right, Dave, let's switch to college football with the draft now less than a week away. I absolutely cannot believe it, and this is obviously going to be a draft for the ages. But, Dave, you've done a lot of research. We've had a lot of discussions on Michael Pittman Jr. He was the guy I mocked to Pittsburgh in my last mock on Steelers Depot, and I feel like you've now given the Steelers your blessing to wed Michael Pittman Jr. if they should. I think you're warming up to him a little bit with your deeper dive.
Like they needed that, right?
Hey, it doesn't hurt.
Like they were waiting for that, right?
Kevin Colbert called you. Said, do we have your blessing?
Look, this is a guy that, and I think this last week or in our more recent podcast, I said, look, this is a guy that his 2019 tape shows this. And I need to take a deeper dive. Well, when you continually to see some of the guys that I respect, like Gil Brandt, and really to some degree Daniel Jeremiah, and really Dane Brugler, some of these guys that you kind of trust their top 100 rankings and those kind of things, you look at it and you say, all right. This guy continually shows up, in kind of these top 50s and all. What am I not seeing here? So I was bound and determined to say, okay, well, I've gone through a large portion of his 2019 tape by doing that contextualization that I did, I think a little more than 2 weeks ago. What's going on with the rest of his tape? So I made a concerted effort to go down into one of the things that I was looking for, Alex, and I think I made this clear coming out of my the talks we've had about Pittman and the contextualization the previous contextualization that I did on him was I liked his route running. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think I made that clear. I liked his hands for the most part. I liked his ability to work in kind of the short yardage, the short areas within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and be able to catch the ball and get some yards after catch. I was still looking for where's that stuff down the field, and and more specifically, where is that wow? Where are those catches that make you go, oh, okay, I see it now, kind of things. And if you go back into his 2017 and 2018 tape, you do see that, okay? And really, even as far back as his 2017 tape, which is super encouraging to see those kind of plays. What I did is I went through and I pulled out every explosive play that gained 20 yards or more because I wanted to see, was that a 3-yard reception and 17 yak, or was it 17-yard pass down the field and then him adding a little bit of yak on top of that. I was looking for his ability to make catches down the field. That's why I looked at every explosive play, and then I also wanted to look at every single touchdown that he had. So that ended up being 48 plays that I had to go find and research, and I was able to find every last one of them. So that gave me a large selection there. And here's the thing: when you go into it, you see more combative catches. That was another thing I wanted to look for, was where are some more of these combative catches? And that's in his 2017 and 2018 tape. Boy, you go back to the red zone touchdown against Purdue, the end zone view specifically of that, him going up and skying and high pointing that football and making a contested catch and just vice gripping that ball all the way to the ground and all. Very, very impressive play. And, oh, yeah, that happened on the right side of the offense as well, too. That was another key factor. Okay, we see, one thing that stuck out in his 2019, man, that kid played a whole heck of a lot on the left side. Well, it's good to see usage on the right side like that, and more importantly, catches like that as well too. And then I think specifically, if you go back and look at that late season 2017 game against Ohio State, against some pretty talented kids over there in that secondary, him being able to function and run off against kind of man coverages, if you will, and get loose, and he makes a heck of a wow catch, one-handed catch in there. So I think top to bottom, when you go through, and I really invite everybody to go find this post from a few days ago on Steelers Depot and click on every one of those plays. Look, we already said going into it with him a couple weeks ago that he'd already checked a lot of boxes, right? He had the NFL bloodline. He captain in college, Sparky, Senior Bowl, Power 5, character. What else am I missing? Hearts and smarts.
Familiarity with Lynn Swan, former ED.
Right. All those things he had a lot of boxes checked for. The only thing that I was on the fence about is I had him his tape as more of a third round product, third round player. But I am now a lot more. I get it now. From watching his 2017 and 2018 tape specifically, I get now why he's a top 50 player. And with that, I think he is smack dab in the middle of one of 6-7 players I think really could be the pick.
Yeah, I'm with you for all the reasons we talked about last podcast and the reasons you just mentioned. Now, is there a reason?
Now let me ask you: had you seen any of the in your initial studies on him? I'm assuming you mostly looked at his 2019 tape as well.
Correct.
All right. So, did you still have him kind of as a second rounder based on that tape?
Yeah, I thought he was around a top 50 guy, which is probably still where I'm at. My question for you is that you were more impressed by his 17 and 18 tape than his 19 tape. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, just from a wow factor and down the field factor.
Okay.
And a combative catch factor. His 2019 tape, once again, he is a good route runner. Okay, he is a very good route. His ability to run those curls and those comebacks and do a good job of sharpening those things off and helping his quarterback out and things along those lines, and running those quick those quick slants across the middle or those underneath crossers, those kind of things. That was all fine. Okay, I just was looking for where is the stuff more than where are the catches down the field other than against blown coverages. Okay, I think we'll both agree that he's still not on tape. That guy, he doesn't run like a gazelle like Martavis Bryant, right?
Yeah, I mean he ran what 4.52, 4.55. What did he run? He didn't run Bryant's 4.4s.
Right, and he doesn't really. He can get downfield though. Okay, that's one thing he can do. He can get open down the field. So a lot of times that speed, that time speed is deceptive. You want to see if he can get on top, if he can stack players or not, and he can. And another thing I was looking for is I wanted to see more of those combative catches. I saw that, and I wanted to see a couple of. Oh wow! What a grab! And I saw some of those, and I really didn't see those in his 2000 and because like take a guy like Mims, all right, in his 2019 tape, man, there's a lot of those catches where he goes up and plucks that ball out and body control on the sideline that makes you go, oh wow. I just didn't see that in the Pittman 2019 tape. And look, I mean, generally a tape, even though we tell each other, look, go and make sure you go check out at least 2 years of tape and at least 3 games of a player prospect and all like that. You can usually get a good idea from the player's last season tape if you watch 3 or 4 games. Now every once in a while you run across a prospect where you say, well, his 2017 or 2000, his previous 2 years prior to the past season was actually better tape than, the last season. And Pittman is a good example of why you should go back further than just 1 year.
My question, though, is why was that 2019 tape less impressive? Is there any reason for that? Why was he more limited to just playing on the left side? Was it quarterback
I think
issue
it could be scheme.
injury?
I think it could be scheme and quarterback.
Did they have changes from 18 to 19 in terms of coaching staff and quarterback play? I'm just curious.
There were a few different quarterbacks in there, right?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the tape. I can look up some of the numbers here. Because my question, though, is always just why in those situations. Why was the previous years better? You on a linear projection, you get better.
Well, obviously, 2 years ago, he had Sam Darnold there, right? 2017.
Well,
what I mean is the two years previous that I went back.
Let's look here. There's a train coming from me, so I'm going to pass the baton to you here, Dave.
All right, but let's see. Let me see if I can find the USC passing stats.
He had Darnold in 17. He did.
Right. And there were a lot of. You go back and you look at that, and you say, "Oh boy, there's a lot of nice throws in there from Sam Darnold."
I got you. Yeah. So he had a different quarterback in 18 and 19. I would say the 19 guy, at least statistically, was better. But that's just off of numbers.
See, just last year, he had Slovis and Fink and Daniels. Now, obviously, Daniels only had 34 attempts. Slovis had a majority, I think, this past season of almost 400 attempts. And then Fink had about 90 attempts in there.
And Daniels was his quarterback 99% of the time the year before, and he wasn't as impressive with the numbers.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if we'd have an answer. I don't know if we probably can't discover that answer right now, but I just
then obviously it would take some time to weed out non-targeted throws too. Was he open and just missed? That kind of thing. And obviously the more all 22 that you have available of that helps in that area. And I didn't go that deep into it, to look at non-targeted, a large selection of non-targeted throws. Now he does obviously, when watching full games, you'll see him block, and that's another thing that's going to be a feather in his hat is he's a physical player. He will block in the run game, and also he'll play on some special teams for you as well too. So even as a rookie, he'll be able to get on the field and help you out in some capacity here. So that's another great aspect about him. But plain and simple, the 2017 and 2018 tape did it for me when it comes. I was already on board with him as a third rounder, and possibly admitting that he probably wouldn't be on the board at say 102, for the Steelers, but I could see him as an 80 or 90 overall pick prior to that deeper dive. But now I get it with him.
And to be clear, in 2019, he was more productive statistically than he was years before, but I know you just like some of the tape and some of the actual context in earlier years. Would you say he's less raw now that you've seen him kind of move around and play on different sides on his 17 and 18 tape?
Yeah, I mean, there's still not a lot of him playing on the right side, but there was enough that it felt like it was more than what James Washington did. Okay, I'll tell you that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, how does it compare with James Washington? More than what he did.
Right. Obviously, I don't have the totals in front of me, but
sure.
After going through that tape of 2017, 2018, I remember saying to myself, boy, it sure feels like he's when comparing him to Washington, that he played more on the opposite side than Washington did.
Okay. So you are you think that's very much in play at 49.
Oh, yeah, look, I mean, I think when you look at, like I said, that group of, 7, 8, 9 players, and I don't know, maybe it's a good time to kind of segue. I know we kind of wanted to talk about that now, but we mentioned the group of 40 on Gil Brandt's top 150, the players that he had listed starting at 41 all the way through 59. I'll read them off real quick. Neville Gallimore, Jalen Reagor, Jordan Brooks, Lynn Bowden, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Cesar Ruiz, Jordan Elliott, Denzel Mims, Justin Matabuke, Ashton Davis, Jake Fromm, Jalen Hurts, Cole Kmet, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antoine Winfield, Bradley Anai, KJ Hamler, and Chase Claypool. You look at that group of players right there, and once again, we said it on the show the other day. I think right now you have to. I think Pittman is one of like 4 or 5 that you really have to circle and say that really could be the pick.
Yeah, I mean, you said you wanted to go through it name by name here. So Gallimore, who's at 41, who I've talked about since prior to the Senior Bowl, that is that Hargrave clone where he's a great athlete, a quick first step. A good motor, chases after the football. There's questions and concerns about production and a little bit in run defense as well. But if they want that Hargrave replacement, Gallimore is a strong option at 49.
And I think he could. I think he's one that could still be on the board there at around 49. Depending on how many defensive tackles come off the board. I mean, when you think about it, when you start thinking about, man, there's going to be probably 6, 7, 8 wide receivers taken off the board by the time the Steelers pick. How many tackles? At least 6, 7?
Yeah, I would say 7 to 8 by the time 49 rolls around.
I mean, how many quarterbacks are going to come off the board? At least 5?
4. Yeah,
4 or 5?
4 to 5, yeah.
All right, how many running backs are probably going to be off the board? 4? At least 4, maybe?
That one's, I think, a lot more debatable. I think comfortably at least 2.
Right, how many cornerbacks or how many defensive backs in total are going to come off the board? How many true edges are going to come out? You start whittling down and going through, then you start looking and say, okay, well, yeah, a lot of these guys I think got a good chance to being on the board, and I really think Neville Gallimore, there's a good chance Gallimore's on the board for the Steelers at 49.
Did it with 42 with Jalen Reagor, who the team has shown interest in, been a popular name to mock. I think you had him mocked recently to Pittsburgh, and I know that Dave T's comments about him and off the field are certainly concerning. We can only know so much about our own insight on that, but yeah, if you want a guy that with big playability, you want Jalen Reagor.
I think the only thing really that limits him, and this assumes that what Dave T told us is true, is kind of the character end of it. Is he a guy that was really on those quarterbacks to throw him the ball? Now he did have some drops too. That's another thing that's in his tape.
That's my concern with him. The Steelers generally don't draft receivers. I know we'll get some Sammy Coates, Lima Swede references here, but with bad hands recently. They want guys with sure hands.
Right. So those are two kind of. I guess the further that we've gotten into this thing, I've kind of find myself getting away from Reagor being possible to pick at 49, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I still think it's possible.
I definitely think it's possible. That's why we're talking about it. But I just, from where I was 2 weeks ago to now, I kind of fallen away from him a little bit.
I don't mean to jump ahead, but you look at KJ Hamler at 58. Do you have a preference between Hamler and Reagor?
Yeah, not knowing their character, I would probably still go Reagor. Okay. But here's the thing, and being Hamler is on the list, we might as well talk about him. And when we've talked about him quite a bit, I liked his tape. Okay, I did. I get why he's a later second round guy. The question then becomes though is how much more physical can he be? Because they're going to try to knock him off his routes and things like that at the NFL level. He's got the speed, he can get downfield. The other problem is too, he's not the most sure-handed guy deep down the field, and especially on 50-50 balls. In other words, he's going to have to make plays for you where there's in a lot of uncontested situations. I think.
The good news is he's going to be faster than anybody else, and he can just run away from the guys.
Yeah, but I mean, also too, is he going to be the guy that can, are you going to use him more as a Z or in the slot or what, or both there? I don't think he's a guy that you're going to want running across the middle on slants, all that often. That kind of player, because it's just the physicality of the game.
Yeah.
I think you're going to want to use him more in a Tyreek Hill type situation where it's definitely him going north and south as opposed to anywhere associated to east and west.
Yeah, though there is some big playability if he's able to get a step off the line. But yeah, I'd be concerned about him beating press is going to be for sure an obvious one. I see just a Will Fuller, and I kind of lean Hamlin just because, I think with Hamlin and Rager, neither are ever going to be the guy. They're never going to be the central part of your offense. They're going to be more complementary pieces. But Hamlin just has that legit speed and that legit big playability where he's not going to be the focal point of your offense, but he's going to be able to produce some game-breaking type plays consistently.
I just worry about the durability too with him, with his size,
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. Anyway, to go back to the list here, we have at number 43, Jordan Brooks, linebacker from Texas Tech. Probably one of the less likely names on the list, but a good athlete. And Dave T said he actually could sneak into the first round.
I know less about him, along with, obviously the quarterbacks on this list, for obvious reasons. But him being there at 43 and being probably one of the top off the ball linebackers, it would be enticing, for sure. But once again, I just don't know enough about him to know whether or not I really have a strong opinion whether or not he would potentially slide down that far.
Right. And just from a positional need standpoint, it's lower on the list for Pittsburgh. Number 44, Lynn Bowden, the receiver / running back from Kentucky. One of the surprises on my list to see Gil Brandt rank him so high. Trying to figure exactly where you want to play him. Probably more receiver than running back, but kind of an interesting chess piece for an offense.
Look, I mean, you look back to Antoine Randall, right? Kind of players. This guy can go all over the place for you. Definitely an athletic specimen. I still think it'd be. I view that a little high for him overall.
Same.
But I mean, look. I mean, if Gil Brandt does miss, on some of these, could this be one of the misses? I'm trying to remember. I want to see if Daniel Jeremiah had. I don't think Daniel Jeremiah had him in his top 150 or top 50, I should say.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he did. So that's one of those ones that kind of has me scratching my head.
Same here. I doubt that's going to be the play for Pittsburgh. T. Higgins, who I mentioned on a previous podcast, maybe a name we should talk about a little bit more. Once viewed rightly or wrongly as a first rounder, but with average to below average testing, didn't work out at the combine. Numbers weren't great at his pro day, and in a very deep receiver class, he's probably going to be much more of a solid second round pick, and maybe an option for Pittsburgh as a big receiver with a lot of production.
Like Michael Pittman, this is probably a guy that I could afford to go back and look at a little bit deeper here in the next few days here, because when I did my contextualization on him, I was kind of meh,
Yeah, but obviously the one pro day that Tomlin and Colbert were at was Clemson, so they at least got to see him in person. I'm speculating, but I'm guessing there was a pro day dinner with him, and they didn't just talk to Tanner Muse with all the Clemson products that were there, and so it's at least somebody that would leave an impression on them where other guys never had that chance to do so.
Here's what I kind of wrote about him. He averaged four. Let's see, how many targets? I did 7 games of his from last season. Man, that's a large selection.
When did you do this?
This was March the 12th.
Okay.
He had let's see. Yeah, he registered 59 receptions last season for 13 touchdowns. I contextualized 7 of his games, and he caught 29 passes for 562 yards, 6 touchdowns on 40 total targets. Those were against A&M, North Carolina, Florida State, Louisville, South Carolina, Virginia, and Ohio State. His average target depth was a huge 14.5 yards down the field, and his average completion distance was 15.1 yards down the field. So those are obviously big numbers, right? For average target depth and completion distance. So he's making catches down the field. 10 of his 29 contextualized receptions came more than 15 yards down the field. 17 of them came more than 10 yards down the field. Let's see. Of the 11 incompleted passes, 2 were balls that never made it to him. 3 others were dropped by him. He's another one that's got, some of them hands that you kind of worry about, I think, at times. He averaged 4.3 yards after the catch. On those targets, a whopping 22 of his 29 receptions also resulted in gains of 10 yards or more. My final notes on him: Higgins has quite a few impressive catches in these 29 that I contextualize. Additionally, he showed that he's not just an outside the numbers receiver, as 5 of his receptions were inside the hash marks. He showed great body control on a few of those receptions, along with nice catch radius. He can work outside or inside at the slot position, as he seems to be very versatile. It's hard to imagine him slipping down to the Steelers in the second round. If he does, however, he might be tough to pass up, even though many seemingly have him projected to be an X receiver at the NFL level. Did you view him mostly as an X from what you saw?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, does he have the quickness necessarily, at least in Pittsburgh's world, to be an X? Probably not, based on their skill set of what they look for. I think maybe more of a Z type, but I didn't maybe get the best feel for it.
I still, even though immediately coming out of here thinking this guy might not be on the board, when they pick, I remember not getting overly excited about him. Where are you on him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like banging the table for the guy, but I do think it's a name that we haven't talked about a lot because early on in the process, we just didn't think he was going to be in that range for Pittsburgh, a possibility. And now we should at least be thinking about it a little bit more, because I rarely hear T. Higgins' name associated with Pittsburgh in any sort of capacity.
Right. I mean, I think his tape is a little bit man enough where he might be there,
Mm-hmm. And his testing was pretty poor.
Right. Right. And then you kind of wonder about the underclassmen and the mindset. Is he ready for the NFL? The character, which we don't know. I haven't, in the little interviews that I've researched on him, I don't get the warm and fuzzy hearts and smarts thing,
Okay.
I don't know what you feel about him.
I don't know much about his character.
He needs to be in the conversation. We agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, underclassman, Clemson receiver, that seems up the Steelers' alley.
Right. So, it'd be interesting to see if he's on the board, if they would, go that route.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a decent chance he would be. A Pittman, we've already talked about at 46, 47. Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan. I think you're higher on him than I am. I see a good player, a solid player, not a great one that wows me, but nothing wrong if you go with Cesar Ruiz.
I think people have, there's other, quote unquote experts, I think, that have him a lot higher ranked than this.
But this potential first round pick.
That they view him as being off the board. So I am maybe a little bit higher on him than you are. And I'm also leaning to the fact that he might not be there.
I don't see a first rounder on tape with Ruiz, personally.
I don't either.
Okay.
But I think he is. I think he's a wheelhouse. Look, who are they going to go? Who are they going to Michigan to see? I mean, you could probably obviously
a lot
name,
of guys.
You can name off a lot of guys, but I think Ruiz is their kind of player too, from the hearts and smarts and
sure.
And look, I think even though we didn't see a lot of it, I think he has a potential to play some guard as well too. I think he's another one that needs to be in the selection there.
He does, yeah. No, he fits what they look for. He's only 20, underclassman with a lot of experience, hearts and smarts. I think his dad was killed in a hit and run. He was 8 years old, so there's a rooting interest in the story and that side of things. And he is a good player. Like, his tape is not bad. I just, you talk about defining traits and what is that one thing that separates him. I struggle to see that a bit with Ruiz.
He's definitely not going to be a guy that comes in right away unless, barring injury.
Sure. Well, any offensive lineman they would have taken, wouldn't be coming in right away. At least you would hope not. At 48, Jordan Elliott from Missouri, the big nose tackle. Someone else we probably should talk about a little bit more. Kind of a hot, cold type player. Big, more conventionally sized nose tackle, but still with some quickness and good athleticism overall. So if you want kind of more of an older school approach, but still someone that can give you some pass rush juice, then you want Jordan Elliott from Missouri.
Do you view him more as a 3-tech, though? Kind of NFL player, or do you view him as a guy that can legitimately do what Hargrave did?
It's kind of, and I wouldn't say he could do what Hargrave did. I don't think I can make that one-to-one comparison I could with Gallimore and the guy we'll talk about in a second, Matty Buke. Elliott, 6'3", 6'4", 302. The length isn't great. Good testing overall. Yeah. It's a little dicey on the fit, but he could probably. If he's obviously Hargrave and any nose tackle will be playing 1 and 3 tech, they're not playing just the 1 tech all the time. So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I like some of his pass rush ability for sure.
Mm-hmm. What was his production? What were his numbers at Missouri? Just curious to get the because obviously you want some production as well. 5.5 career sacks, 18 career tackles for a loss, 8.5 last year. Underclassman though, so still some room to grow.
He had, let's see, team captain. Look, maybe that's another one we should be talking a little bit more about. A little bit older, but that shouldn't deter them.
How old is he?
He's 22 and a half.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
He will be 23 in November.
It's an old junior. He redshirt or something? Is he a redshirt?
He had to set out because of transfer.
Yeah, he's at Texas.
From Texas there.
Okay.
So
he's effectively a senior in that sense in terms of the age.
How sparky was he? Do you remember?
And the numbers were good. At 302 pounds, the dude ran 5'02", 27.5-inch vertical, 4.73 short shuttle. 40 times probably the best number out of that 1.71 10 split. So decent, not the best, but not terrible. Run almost 5 flat at 302 pounds is impressive.
When you build this list and you talk about Jordan Brooks is a guy that we really haven't talked a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins really, we've obviously mentioned him, but we haven't spent a lot of time. Jordan Elliott, is it possible? Yeah, I think it is possible. I think I'd still be a little bit surprised because I worry more about the fit, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. 49, Denzel Mims, who we both love.
Oh, yeah.
Still not really expecting him to be there, but if he is there, that's a hard guy to turn down.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm trying to think reasons of why they wouldn't take him if he's on the board.
I guess just still some of that rawness as a route runner. I've seen some scouts talk about the boom bust factor, that there is a risk factor with him and some drop issues. So I didn't see that as big of an issue as others seem to think. I think he's got good hands.
And you can move him around though.
Yeah, he's just that big matchup nightmare. So he's more comfortable on the outside, obviously. But yeah,
would you rank him above Jalen Reagor as far as possibility? How would you from a likelihood to be a Steeler pick if all are on the board aspect? That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Jalen Reagor, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Denzel Mims.
It's just so hard this year from a likely standpoint because we just don't have much information to go off of. My gut says Pittman's at the top. I think on my personal list, I have Mims at the top. It's easier for me to give you my personal list as opposed to what's likely. If I had to guess, Pittman would be number 1 in the what they're likely to do list.
And Mims number 2.
Yeah, maybe you would just think from a talent standpoint, but again, it is just so difficult it's just so hard for me to rank that because what information am I basing it off of? And
and you and I always generally tend to go what we think the Steelers will do, not what we will do.
Sure, but in terms of me trying to rank it like that, it's just again, I just don't have the information to go off of this year.
I would probably go Pittman,
I mean, I would say Pittman,
I would
Mims,
go Pittman,
Rager,
Mims.
Higgins.
I would go Pittman, Mims, Higgins, Rager right now.
Okay. But it's just hard. It's just like, what do you base? Like, how do you balance Higgins versus Rager? Like, what information do you even go off of?
And we're limited with especially when it comes to the character and the much deeper stuff.
I think from a talent standpoint, Mims is top of my list. I can say that with complete confidence.
Do you think all four of those guys will be on the board come time the Steelers pick? All four of those wide receivers?
I think Mims is gone. I think Mims is, even potentially even late first round material. I don't think he's going to be there. Will the others be there? Pittman could be gone. I mean, wouldn't shock me either way. I think he could be someone that goes in the 30s, maybe, early 40s. Rager, I think Higgins will be there. Rager, I'm guessing, will be there as well.
The thing, as long as you can keep the Raiders out from ahead of you, I really think they have it for Pittman too.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to take a receiver in the first round. The 2 first-round picks they got.
But I would worry if they didn't,
Yeah, no, because if they don't take one in the first round, they're taking one in the second round.
Well, they don't have a second, though, right?
Oh, they don't have a second. Okay, so what's the worry with the Raiders?
Well, them going up, because don't they have like 18 thirds or something?
Do they? I don't know their whole...
Something along those lines I remember looking at or something. But anyway, all right, who of what we've gone over so far probably need to go jump back on the tape on? Brooks and Elliott, right?
I would say for me personally, Higgins and Elliott are the two I got to circle. I mean, I know stuff about him, but I should probably learn a little more about it. At number 50, Justin Madubuike. Honestly, I like him more than Gallimore. I got to Madubuike late in the process. He's a little bit lighter than Gallimore, about 11 pounds, at least based off their combine weigh-ins, but longer, I think stronger. I think a better athlete, a bendier guy with more production as well.
You wouldn't drop Gallimore out of the. You would drop Gallimore probably. You would probably swap places with Madubuike and Gallimore on this list, right?
Yeah, I like Madubuike more than Gallimore, so flipping him 40-1 and 50 would be fine by me.
All right, Ashton Davis, a guy we haven't really talked about much.
Do you know anything about Madubuike? I mean, have you watched him?
Not enough to say I like him more than Gallimore.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Ashton Davis at 51, unfortunately hindered by injury to this whole pre-draft process, but really good tape, versatile, a good athlete. I think Dave T made a reference that this dude could run in the 4.2s, 4.3s. I don't know quite about that, but a good athlete overall. Loved his Oregon tape against Justin Herbert. Yeah, I mean, I know that safety depth is an issue.
Justin Herbert got this guy paid.
Yeah, right? Davis is a real good prospect.
Damn, have you watched that Oregon Cal game?
Yeah, that was the first game I watched.
Yeah. That game alone make you scratch your head about wondering if you want to take Herbert. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know. Jake Fromm, pass.
Jalen Hurts, who I still like, but yeah, we can lump the quarterbacks together. We will talk about Jalen Hurts and how he could factor in the Steelers quarterback plans a little bit later in the show. But I know the national media is still, hopefully just focused in on quarterback here. If it was the quarterback, it'd be Hurts more than Fromm, I would think. But I think the chances of either are extremely remote.
I am a closet Georgia fan. Okay. Meaning if I had to pick an SEC team that I would root for, it would be Georgia.
You're cheating on Oklahoma State after watching all those Cowboys games.
Right. I've kind of moved on from Oklahoma State, and I'm over it now. I wasn't for a long period of time because I knew so much about.
That's what I'm saying
about that offense there. But I liked Fromm, but at no point during Fromm's career did I say to myself, "Man, this is a top 2 round guy."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's apparently wowing teams with football IQ and overall readiness.
All right. Jalen Hurts is a guy that, I mean, look, you if you're listening to this podcast, you're either all aboard on the Steelers drafting him in the second round if he's there, or you're like us and believe everything that Tomlin and Colbert and Rooney have said, that they're happy with the quarterback situation, and this ain't the year for they're going to draft a quarterback. You're either – and here's the thing. Will Hurts even be on the board there? Because you can probably make an argument that Hurts is a top 4 and not top 5 quarterback. And if that's the case, there's a good chance he's gone anyway.
I think that he's the 5th quarterback off the board. I still think Love goes ahead of him. Could he be gone before 49? Absolutely. But it's also possible I think he's there as well.
So depends on what camp you're in there. Alex and I are in the camp that we don't think he'll be a Steeler. So and we'll talk a little bit later about the Hurts scenario here in a minute. Cole Kmet, Notre Dame, the tight end, is at 54 on Gil Brandt's list. I like his ability to get down the field, down the seam. He needs a lot of work as a blocker still. I've been kind of lukewarm, cold on him throughout this process.
Mm-hmm. If there was a tight end they were going to take at 49, it would likely be Cole Kmet. At least all conventional wisdom would tell you that. He's got the size they look for. Although his blocking may need work, he's at least got the overall height, weight, length, the pedigree, Notre Dame guy. So if there was a tight end they were going to take, which I don't think they're going to, but if they would, it would be Cole Kmet.
I don't think he gives you anything, at least I didn't see from a physicality standpoint, that makes you think, well, we could get this guy. I can't wait to get this guy on the kickoff coverage team,
Well, I don't know if any tight ends are really on.
Or even be comfortable with him as the wing on field goal, or even a blocking on kickoff return kind of thing. I just don't get he would be a guy that would spend a lot of time on your inactive list, I think, if you're the Steelers.
Yep. Especially in a year like this. 55, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I really love, my number 2 back, only behind Jonathan Taylor, and even I debated putting Edwards-Helaire as the top guy on my list. Just really shifty, good receiver, good route runner, not the long speed kind of guy, but he'll make you miss.
Here's the thing that you do at that spot right there. You take the 5th back on your list, whoever that might be, of the top 5, and you put him in the list in that spot, because people seem to be mixed about who their top 5 are, the order of them. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people that think Edwards-Helaire is their second best back. There's people that think he's 3rd, 4th, 5th, along in there. So I think of the backs that could potentially be there would be Edwards-Helaire. That would interest the Steelers would be Edwards-Helaire and Akers.
Yeah,
okay?
I think Akers would really interest them.
So if you don't think Edwards-Helaire will be there, then drop Akers into that 55 spot.
And Gil's got Akers low though. He's got him a 107.
Yeah. I don't think he lasts that long, personally, but he could.
Mm-hmm. But I do like Edwards-Helaire, and I think Akers. I mean, he made every box in the what they look for study except for weight, and he missed that by 3 pounds. And I'm pretty sure Eddie Faulkner recruited him while at NC State out of high school. So a little interesting nugget of information there.
I'm hearing a little bit of echo. It went away there. But Edwards-Helaire, look, I mean, you and I still aren't high on this team drafting a running back, but if they do, we've said all along.
It's a possibility.
If it happens, it'll happen in the second. It should happen at 49 overall.
Right.
Because I just don't see anything past the. Why do it past the top 5 would be. And I've looked at a couple of these other deeper backs. The Appalachian State kid and the TCU kid, and I don't. Why if you wait that long.
At 56, Antoine Winfield Jr., who I still don't think is going to be there at 49, but
I think he will be. I think he will be.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But if he is there, if you're right, then that guy screams Steeler.
I think when you look at guys on this list, and we're building 5 or 6 of them on these names, I think him, Pittman, Ruiz, Mims, Gallimore just screams, could be the pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the versatility, the athleticism, obviously Tomlin coached his dad, the football bloodlines, the need, it all kind of fits into the pick.
Of Ashton Davis and Winfield, both of them going to be gone?
Winfield, I think, will be gone. Davis, I'm leaning towards yes, he will be gone. I mean, he could drop a little bit. I think Davis is going to go in round 2. I'm pretty confident in that. He could just slip a little bit because he didn't get to work out, and you don't have the testing and the timing on him, and that's going to be an obvious issue.
I think I still with Winfield because of the injury history, because of where's that wow at? I think that.
What was the big injury with him? What was the injury?
What was it with him?
I'm just not aware. Yeah, it looks like in 2017, 2018, he played 4 games each year. Did play every game last year, it looks like, so something going on there. But he did play every game last year, which is at least healthy.
Right. So I think the thing that stuck out the most with me was the injury history, and didn't something affect his hamstring or something?
How old is he? Is my question, because I'm just curious what his age is. Is he still young?
He is still very young, 21.69. He'll turn 22 in August.
Okay, so yeah, that fits Pittsburgh well too, as that underclassman. Cool. Let's see, who was the next guy on the list?
Dave T had him on his podcast yesterday, by the way. So.
Yeah, I listened to it. That was a really good interview. By the way, Dave T gave you guys a shout out. Those listening, apparently he was just flooded with emails after coming on the podcast. So good job, Steelers Nation. Way to make Dave T sweat a little bit.
Yeah, he said he's still answering emails. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bradley and Nine, a guy we haven't really talked about. We've kind of discounted because, I mean,
the testing was terrible.
Right. He was the one at the Senior Bowl though that worked over Calvin what's his name?
Throckmorton.
Right.
Yeah. He's got really good hands, a good pass rush plan, a good club, a good strike, but he's got Jarvis Jones testing, which is a big issue.
Right. They didn't learn their lesson about that. I kind of, every time his name's been thrown up, I've been kind of, after looking at his tape, I say hard pass.
Mm-hmm. Hamler at 58, we discussed earlier, a game breaker, legit one of the fastest players in this class, but size, 5'8.5", $178 are problematic. And then 59, the opposite, Chase Claypool, big receiver, tight end Notre Dame. What do you want to do with him? Not sure, but the dude's physical, loves to block, and obviously a size matchup issue. How big is he? 6'5", 238, whatever he weighed in at.
Is he 6'5"?
I don't know. Maybe I gave him an extra inch or two there. Big dude though. I mean, that's 6'4", 6'4.25".
6'4.25". Okay. Here's the thing with him. People say, "Well, why aren't you talking about him more?" Well, we have talked about him. I like him. I mean, I like him down the field as a contested catch player. I think he's another one that has a little bit of a drop issue. And look, he's just not as well-rounded as a route runner. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to stack up Pittman and Claypool, to me, it's not even close. I mean, obviously, Claypool has the speed, all right? And when you think, I guess you'd kind of say, well, who was the kid out of Notre Dame last year? Miles
Boykin.
He's kind of a poor man Boykin, right?
Yeah, I think they're similar type guys. I think I like Boykin more than I like Claypool, but if you went the other way, I mean, I wouldn't argue with it.
I just, the rawness with the route running ability with Boykin and the drops and all like that, to me, it wouldn't even be, it's quite a gap between Pittman and Boykin. I view, Pittman and Claypool. I view Claypool as more of that into the third round guy, and probably not a guy that would even be there though at 102.
No, he's not going to be there by then. There's too much upside there.
So I kind of lump him with 49 too early, and if you don't get him, then you're not going to get him when it comes to the Steelers. Yeah, I do like him though. It's just where he is on this list that I struggle with.
Yeah, I do as well. All right, so that's the list. I mean, yeah, I think we went through those guys well, and I really feel like some of the names we talked about have excellent chances of becoming the pick of 49.
Is there anybody, I don't know if you're looking at that list right now, from say 60 to, I don't know, 70? I mean, add 10 more players in it?
It's crazy just because the next 10 guys, none of them feel like even possibilities. Jalen Johnson, the corner, Chenault, the receiver, Gladney, corner, Logan Wilson, linebacker, Fulton, the corner, Arnett, the corner, Shin, the safety, Easton, the quarterback, Lynch, the DN, Brian Edwards, maybe the receiver from South Carolina, Coulter, the receiver. None of those guys even give me a gut feeling that they even have a chance, except maybe Brian Edwards.
All right, and even I was kind of meh on his I view him as another one, more of a third round guy. Yeah. He's got who I mean, I don't want to. I mean, we could keep going down. Well, let's go five more. I don't want to get into that, but I mean, is there anybody past that point where you say, okay, well, that's a guy that we haven't talked about that we should?
Curtis
Would it be
Weaver.
Would it be Akers at 107?
I think we've talked about Akers, though. I mean,
yeah.
I would say, how do you say his last name? Okora, the edge from Notre Dame. Big dude, powerful, good athlete.
Right.
That'd be a name to talk. We really haven't discussed at all. Probably a name that we should. I want to dive into a little bit.
I mean, but how comfortable do you feel that someone on Gil Brandt's list from 1 to 59 will be the pick?
From 1 to 59, yeah, pretty comfortable. As comfortable as I can be in a year like this, yeah. Right. Past that list, it's hard to find names. Unless we went with your favorite guy, Josh Uche. But even at 49, it's still pretty questionable.
All right, look, where are you at on? You know where I'm at on Uche right now. So have you gone back and watched any more that's made you think anything that he could? In other words, is he in play at 49?
Yeah, I wouldn't discount it. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago. I say he's a top 75 player. He's going to go in the top 75. I still feel that way pretty strongly. I think it's possible. I think it's less likely than a lot of the names we've talked about, but I wouldn't discount it entirely.
Okay, I would discount it. I will be shocked. Okay. I will be shocked if he's the guy. But
what do you think he goes? You think he's a day 2 pick? Not in terms of what you think, but just where he actually goes.
I think he could go anywhere from mid-third round on into the I obviously think he'll be off the board by the end of the third with the compensatories.
Okay, so you think he's going between 75 and 105?
Right.
Okay, I think he's going to be in the top 75.
Okay.
I think his floor. I think my lowest is where you start. Okay. And who knows? Maybe you'll be right. Maybe I'll be right. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. So anyone else you wanted to talk about?
What did Daniel Jeremiah talked about Gallimore yesterday? I want to run this by you. When you look at Gallimore is somebody that's ultra explosive. You'd agree with that, or no?
Yeah, I think he's got a quick first step, and dude ran a 4.79 40.
The testing numbers, you see that. He ran a 4.79. He's really twitched up. He can collapse the pocket. He's good at shooting gaps. He just hasn't been ultra productive. He hasn't been able to be a consistent finisher to make plays. Sometimes when you watch him, I see a lot of activity without productivity. So that's a challenge in figuring out a way to funnel all of his athleticism and turn it into more production. He's my 65th player, and he's my 5th defensive tackle in this draft. So that's where I have him.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's fair. I don't think there is a little bit of stiffness there with him, so I don't know if he's quite as twitched up the way that Jeremiah says, unless I'm interpreting that differently. The thing I kept coming back to was there is productivity concerns. He's got 8.5 career sacks, 17 tackles for a loss. He does have 5 forced fumbles. It's not terrible, but it's not where Matty Buke's at. And I ding someone like Ross Blacklock because his production was really poor. Now, Gallimore has better numbers than that and against better competition, too. I think they're about the same competition. But anyway, so I that is something to take into consideration, is that the productivity was not anything eye-popping.
Is there any chance whatsoever he falls on down into later third-round category?
I don't see it. Okay. I think a 300-pounder that runs 4.7s, I can't see him getting in triple digits.
How would you compare him to Hargrave coming out?
Similar. Well, there's obviously a competition issue. There's a production issue because Hargrave the numbers were insane. Obviously, playing in the MEAC, a much lower level competition. I would say they still have that similar quickness. I think Gallimore actually has a better motor. I think Hargrave ended up having a great motor in Pittsburgh, but coming out, he didn't always finish plays because he just was dominant and really didn't have to. I think Hargrave a little better against the run. Hargrave's got that big bubble butt that Gallimore doesn't quite have. Really, no one really has like Hargrave did. So similar, I guess, but obviously there's a big difference in terms of the level of competition and the level of productivity.
What did you think about Gallimore against the run?
I thought it was decent. Obviously he's not Casey Hampton. He's not going to be a plugger. He's better for an aggressive attacking one-gap front, which is how the NFL, including the Steelers, are generally moving towards. So there will be some issues against double teams. He can get washed. There probably some technique stuff you want to work on as well. That's why I think Matty Buke, although he's a little bit lighter, was actually, I think, better against the run. I think he has his lengths. He's a little longer. I think he plays with better leverage and pad level and a little better strike overall.
Daniel Jeremiah, just to give you some points of reference here. T. Higgins at 27th overall.
Okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 32nd overall. Let's see who else. He has Ruiz 37th overall.
Well, who does he have in that 45?
He has Matabuke at 44.
Okay.
Mims at 45. Gladney out of TCU at 46. Winfield at 47.
Okay.
Diggs, the corner out of Alabama at 48. He's apparently a little bit lower on him, I think, than most. Cushenberry's got at 49. Is Cushenberry even in? That's a guy. I mean, is Cushenberry a guy that should even be in the talk for the Steelers? I know he was probably with you way back coming out of Senior Bowl, right?
Yep.
But now not so much, right?
Yeah. Again, I don't mean to be so vague and so non-committal about this stuff, but possibly. I mean, it's just hard to know. The information is just so limiting. I like Cushenberry a lot. I mean, I love the competitiveness. I mean, this dude, and I've said this before with all these LSU guys, Damian Lewis, his right guard included, is that they played an entire season at LSU, played 15 games, so essentially played an NFL schedule. They immediately go to the Senior Bowl like a week after, I think, the championship game, and go out there, compete the entire week, do well. And then they're training for the combine, go to the combine, and I think they went through all the drills. So just that level of competitiveness and that attitude, I think on that alone, not that that's you're going to draft them because of that, but that is really impressive. You want intense competitors. You want guys like that who went through the ringer and never turned down a challenge.
All right, number 50, he's got Jalen Hurts. So, then he says dropped out of his top 50 were Neville Gallimore. Previous rank was 45. Damon Arnett, cornerback out of Ohio State, was previously number 50. Okay. And Cushenberry's new to his 50. Hurts is new to his 50. I think those were the only new ones that he had because the other two dropped out.
Yeah, so he's got Mims and Winfield in a similar range as Gil Brandt. That's interesting. That's good to know.
All right, where to now?
Well, we talked a lot about Jalen Hurts, and obviously the national media, Mel Kiper included, is all on the Hurts to Pittsburgh bandwagon. I took a different approach to it, where I think Jalen Hurts could come into play for Pittsburgh at 49, but in a different way, in a not that the Steelers will draft him sense, but you look at the tier 2 quarterbacks. The top tier are Burrow, Tua, Herbert, and probably arguably Jordan Love. Put them in whatever order you want, doesn't matter, but those are the tier 1 quarterbacks. Tier 2 are guys like Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason from Washington, and Jake Fromm from Georgia, and certainly teams that miss out on those top guys are going to want to get tier 2, because after tier 2, as in any draft class, there is a massive drop-off to the rest of the quarterbacks, and so I think it's possible where Pittsburgh, knowing that they only have 6 picks, knowing they probably should or at least be interested in trading back, could trade out of 49, so a team could come up and take someone like Hurts or Fromm or Eason, and actually I went and looked at the data. Over the last decade, there's been 10 quarterbacks taken in the second round. The average draft position of those quarterbacks is 46th overall, so right in line with where Pittsburgh is at. I created some scenarios in an article yesterday on Steelers Depot where hypothetically, here's one scenario. Pittsburgh trades 49. Green Bay, who's interested in Jalen Hurts, trades number 62 and number 94 to get Hurts. Scenario 2 is Pittsburgh trades 49 with the Patriots to get 87, 98, 100, and 172 to take Jake Fromm. The third scenario is Pittsburgh trades 49 and 135. Detroit trades 67 and 85 to get Jacob Eason. But the overall point is, could Pittsburgh trade back in a prime spot where teams want to move up to take that tier 2 quarterback?
All right, I like it.
I mean, I think they have to look at trading down as an option. Obviously, you can't say they need to or they will, because you just don't know until you find out what's on the board. If a Denzel Mims were to fall, for example, hard to trade out of that spot at that point. But yeah, I think they are in prime territory for where someone's going to be looking to come up and take a quarterback to get kind of their guy before you have this massive drop off. And so, just something to think about.
I think they have circled. I'm willing to bet the Steelers have circled 5 or 6 guys that they feel pretty confident they can get at 49 as we sit here right now today.
Okay.
And I think that if they feel, look, it's a little bit different than a first rounder because you have more of, at least this amount of players are going to be off, and this,
Mm-hmm.
in other words, you can probably limit it a little bit better, than you can, obviously, the deeper you go into the draft, who's likely to be on the board. We've said it for a while. We really wouldn't mind to see them trade down a little bit if they can still get a guy that they like, or as Kevin Colbert said, they want, in that spot to pick up, additional whatever, especially some thirds in there, because you can do some damage with a couple extra thirds,
Mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to this team. I like it. I mean, and I could definitely see Hurts being a kid that if he, or really any of those quarterbacks that you just mentioned, being on the board at that situation where teams say, look, we better go get him right now. And we know Colbert's, willing to probably deal down out of there.
I know it's rare that he's done it, but somebody asked yesterday, well, has Colbert ever traded down out of the second round before? And he has once in 2009. It was. I was leaning on your Colbert trade history article with Denver, where he traded, and I forget the exact numbers, but he traded it from
that ended up being the year they got the
right,
and the Wisconsin offensive lineman.
Yeah, Greg Urbick. Let me get the actual numbers here, because I don't mean to say anything that's incorrect. But yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of precedent for this. This was 2009. He traded, what did he trade here? 64 and 132 to Denver for 79 and 84. So this was obviously the last pick in the second round. A little different than now, but it has happened before.
It would be weird, though, not to have. I mean, they already have just one pick in the top 100 and what? One?
Well, top 100, yeah. But that's the point. Is because hypothetically, let's say that you do this trade with Green Bay, they would now have 62, 94, and 102 as opposed to 49 and 102. So you're getting an extra day 2 pick, because that 102, it barely even feels like a day 2 pick, because it is so borderline. It's a comp pick. I mean, it's so late in the process.
So what's the lowest you would go down from 49?
In the hypotheticals, or
right,
just overall?
Right.
Well, scenario 2 with New England, which is what Dave T had teased about, where New England would trade all of their third-round picks, so 87, 98, and 100, plus a fifth, 172 for 49. Maybe Pittsburgh would kick in something else. And I kind of rejected the idea when Dave T mentioned it, but if you look at the trade value charts, the math actually adds up pretty well, so that would make sense.
So you could see them just going out of the hypothetically going out of the second round completely.
Well, to go from 49 to 87 would obviously be an extreme thing that I think is less likely to happen. I think ideally you'd want to be either in late second round, where Green Bay you're going from 49 to 62, or early third round, worst case scenario with Detroit, where they go from 49 to 67. So obviously me trying to project them to drop nearly 40 spots with New England is quite the stretch. I'm just kicking around different ideas, different scenarios.
Yeah, I would think though that it would ideally the move down would be, I don't know, 7-8 spots,
Well, but if you want to get that third round pick, you're going to have to probably move down at least 10. I mean, Colbert in 2009 moved down 15 spots. So let's call maybe 15 as the realistic maximum he would drop down in 2020.
All right. Well, we'll see. It would be quite a development, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just think you want to leverage the opportunity where if this, because I think one of those quarterbacks, even if Hurts is gone, you still have Fromm, you still have Easton, they're not all going to be gone by the time the Steelers pick at 49. And if some team that wants to move up, that's looking to get an understudy for Matt Stafford or Rodgers, or New England trying to find a quarterback, or whoever. I mean, you could throw in Washington, though I think Washington's a stretch because they just don't have draft capital this year. But regardless, I think there'll be an opportunity for someone to move up to take a quarterback in Pittsburgh, can be that good dance partner.
I tell you, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. I think you really have to. I mean, you have 6 picks this year. You got one of the top 100. I mean, this has never happened before in Pittsburgh, at least not in a long, long time. And you might want to change that.
All right. What else do we have on the topic list?
I'm still working on my study of what the Steelers look for. I completed the off-ball linebacker portion the other day. Did I? Have I posted that yet? I'm trying to find where that article is at. So give me 1 second here. I think I had it. I just have to find where Your
last one is what the Steelers, what Pittsburgh looks for in inside linebackers. Was your last one?
I keep titling everything slightly different. It makes it hard to search for. It should be more consistent. So
that's why if you ever, that's why being obsessive compulsive like I am has its because I like things structured like that. You should know that by now after all these years.
I very much know that. For the off-ball linebackers who've checked every single box, the ones at least listed as inside linebackers at the combine, there's two. Joe Bocci, who we talked about from Michigan State, had him in one of my mock drafts, and Micheal Walker from Fresno State. Two probably day 3 picks. Bocci might go a little bit higher. Tested pretty well, and so I think those guys could be fits for a team maybe looking to add a little bit of inside linebacker.
And the one box away crowd.
Yeah, Sean Bradley from Temple, and I believe there's an interview I think that's coming out I want to check, but I believe that Sean Bradley from Temple said that he's been in contact with Mike Tomlin. Don't know exactly to what degree that is, but he missed in the bench just barely. Malik Harrison from Ohio State, who I'm a big fan of, missed in the bench because he did not participate. Evan Weaver. We didn't talk about Evan Weaver. The Steelers had a FaceTime visit with Evan Weaver, who feels, again, very much like maybe a slightly better Medikevich, but version of Medikevich, but still a similar type guy. And Davion Taylor from Colorado, a good athlete who just missed by weight in 2 pounds, by 2 pounds.
Boy, Evan Weaver is going to be hard to ignore, right?
Well, it's a battle. Who do you want to go with, Tanner Muse or Evan Weaver? Choose your guy.
Right.
I mean, I think both make a lot of sense.
Right.
I did add in guys listed as outside linebackers. Obviously, some of them could be 4-3 off-ball linebackers. Maybe in Pittsburgh, a 3-4 off-ball linebacker. So 2 fit every box. Zach Bond from Wisconsin, who's mentioned before, very unlikely to be there at 49, but he did tick every box. And then Will Gay Jr. from Mississippi State, who probably won't get drafted for off-the-field concerns, but he did check every single box. The guys that were 1 box away was Casey Toohill from Stanford, who I've talked about a couple times on here, David Woodward from Utah State, and Chappelle Russell, also from Temple.
Boy, if you wanted to go away from the character aspect on one guy in this draft and think that your locker room is strong enough to absorb it, it'd be William Gay Jr.
Well, your locker room might be strong enough, but is Ben's jaw strong enough?
I don't think he'd be able to get to Ben.
Yeah. It's just hard to see them going with a character issue,
I know.
Especially in a year like this is the year to go hearts and smarts even more so.
Sure. You're not going to get an argument, but I'm saying if there was one guy that flies around on the field that you'd go away from on the character aspect, it would be Gay.
And he would be at 102, I guess.
I
He's
would
not
think
49.
Yeah, no way you do it at 49. He would have to still be on the board at 102, and that's probably where did Gil have him?
I'm not. Did he even have him anywhere on there? I mean, I think it's possible he's there at 102. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying you can't take him at 49. Did Gil have him?
I don't think so. Did he?
131.
Okay.
So, theoretically, yeah. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it. But I'm just saying the athletic ability's there and the tape's there.
Yep. All right, Dave. Was that everything we had? I think it's everything that I had on my list.
Tell them what we're going to do this next week.
Obviously, next week, draft week, and so we'll change our schedule a little bit to reflect that, because obviously we want to do as much draft preview and then draft recap stuff as well. So we're going to be doing the podcast like our normal schedule, regular season schedule, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Obviously, Monday, Wednesday, we'll preview things heavily. Friday, we'll talk about reaction from day 1 and a preview of day 2. And, of course, we'll be doing special editions of the Terrible Podcast. We'll do one on Saturday morning as well to recap what the team did on Friday night. And we'll probably do one after every day, essentially, just to recap what Pittsburgh did and didn't do.
Yeah, on the Friday podcast, probably not going to be as long because we want to make sure we get it up quick enough, get everybody time to get through it. But by the time the second day of the draft kicks off and all like that, it'll mostly be a reset of what happened in the first round, and we ought to have a nice zeroed in look at who the Steelers will be potentially looking at there. Probably a lot of the names we talked about today. But kind of a more zero or more focused look at potential second and third round picks.
Yeah, I think for Pittsburgh, what day 2 gives you is, the Steelers like to do mock drafts every year of trying to project how these things are going to go. Have they changed that? Am I thinking they were getting away from the mock drafts? But anyway, they could potentially do obviously you can't really do one before the draft, but from day 1 to day 2, Thursday night, Friday morning, you can kind of mock things out. And for us, it'll be a better gauge of who really could be the option at 49.
Don't we normally hear from Colbert the week before the draft, or was his last talk the last one? Probably the one he just did a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, that was my feeling. I mean, yeah, usually like the week before Colbert and Tomlin have their press conference. Obviously, that's not going to happen in person this year. I still hope they would do something like that, over the phone with Tomlin. I'd like to. If you haven't heard from Tomlin, when was the last time we heard from Mike Tomlin? It's been a while, so I'd like to hear his thoughts.
But that normally, I mean, that doesn't happen during draft week, does it? That normally happens the week, like the Thursday or Friday before draft week, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you're right. The week before, so this week, as opposed to the week of the draft, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
And it obviously wouldn't be Saturday, so today would be our only hope.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it, unfortunately.
Steelers open as favorites in 10 games for the 2020 season. Seven of those 10 are at home. The one game they're not favorites for, of course, is against the Ravens. They're now 25-1 to win the Super Bowl, according to a couple of sites there. I mean, it's way early. We don't have a schedule announced. That's probably not going to be announced till May the 9th. But last time the Steelers won 7 of 8 home games was, 2011?
Is that when it was? I don't know.
Yeah, 2011 was the last time the Steelers won last time Steelers, I used the wrong. I got to correct this error. Last time they won 7 games at home in the regular season was 2011.
Gotcha.
Any thoughts on them being early favorites in 7 of 8 home games?
No, it's all meaningless to me. You know that. But I hope it's true. I mean, I guess projected to win 10 games, so I can give my safe yearly annual 10-6 prediction and feel good about it.
That's yeah, stay away from my number there. Let's see, away games. They're only favored to win. Currently favored to win just 3, I think, away games: Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and the Giants. Those are the 3 that they're favored to win on the road currently as far as the lines go there. So Ravens are favored to win every game so far. I think the Steelers were in that situation last year or the year before. They were favored to win every game about this time of year. Anyway, all right, shall we get to we should get to some emails here, right?
Let's do it.
All right, from Jim, my question, if Winfield, Cleveland, and Pittman all available at 49, who would be your choice?
Were the names Cleveland, Pittman, and Winfield?
Winfield, yeah.
Didn't I just ask this yesterday? I want to make sure I'm consistent here with my answer. You go first while I make sure that I'm not being...
Wow, that really is a tough one. Man, Cleveland just seems like a too talented to drop that far, but
yeah, it sounds like the Browns actually are really interested in extra Cleveland.
So Cleveland going to Cleveland, huh?
Yeah, right.
I guess if Cleveland was still on the board, I'd have to go Cleveland from what I know about him and where I would rank him. Then, boy, it's a tough one there between Pittman and Winfield coming off that Pittman tape. I'm a little bit more biased that way right now.
Yeah, for me, Cleveland would be at first just because I view him as a franchise left tackle. That second one's tough. I would probably lean, and I'm leaning, Winfield over Pittman, but you could go either way.
I'm biased from just watching that tape in there. Let's see. Jonathan Mason writes in, forgive me if y'all talked about it already, but why do you think Kevin Colbert said that the edge class is good at the combine? It seems that the consensus is the opposite. Yeah, look, I mean, Alex and I have mentioned that, several times, dating back to the moment that Colbert uttered it, really. And that was still kind of early in the process and still having to go through a lot of these guys deeper than just the highlight cut-ups, right? Even at the time, I thought, oh man, when it comes to the Steelers and I don't want to say 3-4. I think 3-4 outside linebackers is a little too distinct now. I'm talking about just edge players in the Steelers defense. I really think I don't see it as being that deep. I still don't.
I don't either. But are you going to mock them an edge? Because I still have that thought from that quote from Colbert rattling around my brain, and I can't ignore it.
Yeah, I'm going to. I think maybe. I don't know. Look, here's the thing. I struggle with him telling us him. I have my tinfoil hat on at certain times when probably I shouldn't. Him saying that this is a deep class makes me think that he's thinking he's going to get one late.
Did he say it was deep? I thought he said unusually strong. I don't know if that makes a
I don't
difference.
know. Maybe I need to go listen to the complete narrative there.
Yeah.
I took it as him insinuating that they would take one later.
Mm-hmm. And potential guys that could fit that. Do any names of potential day 3 edge guys?
If only that Kenny Wilkes would have stood up more.
Yeah.
Obviously, look, he's robotic. Gil Brandt's got him, I think, in his top 150 too, which is kind of way high for me. The kid out of North Dakota State, is another
But
late
they're gonna draft
round.
that DSU kid.
Yeah, I mean,
What about? Highsmith from Charlotte would be the smaller school guy to target.
Yeah, but where is his spot in this thing? You would think it would be before the 6th round.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking potentially a 102, but definitely in the 4th round.
Yeah, I don't know. When you get into, there's only certain guys in that 4th. To me, it would be 4th round. If you got, would it either 4th round or 6th round.
Yeah. Well, I still think 3rd round. I mean, I had Anthony Jennings there in my last mock, and I think Curtis Weaver, Darrell Taylor, maybe even Highsmith could fit. Back to
the original question though. I don't get it when it comes to guys that fit what the Steelers usually look for.
I agree.
So I don't know what he was thinking saying that at the time. So that's where we come in on that. Let's see here. Chuck Griffith writes in, I keep forgetting that Deion Kane is on the Steelers roster. What are your expectations for Deion Kane in a Steelers uniform in 2020? I think he's got his work cut out for him, Chuck, and I broke down this college tape right after the Steelers got him, from the Colts there. I was lower on him than most, to be honest with you. Not a lot of that. Now, he did provide a little bit of wow, in a couple of catches that he had, once he came to the Steelers there. But I really wasn't all that excited about Deion Kane after he arrived. He's got the drop issues as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was productive on the limited targets he had, either drawing pass interferences or making the odd catch or two. Obviously, he's a guy that really could have benefited from having an off-season program. I mean, there will obviously be a benefit to him just being on this roster, knowing his spot, getting time to breathe and learn the system, learn the playbook and all that after just getting kind of thrown into the fire midway last year. And hopefully he'll have a training camp and a preseason to acclimate himself. There's an open spot there. I mean, it's an interesting guy. And in a camp setting, you think someone of his height, weight, speed would look good. And so he's got a chance. We'll see who they draft and give you a better idea of kind of where things may lie after that.
His college tape, a lot of those out routes, and he just didn't pop on the tape for me, man. Yeah. So if I was a betting man right now, I'd say Deion Kane's not on this 2020 roster.
Okay,
but that's way out,
Mm-hmm.
A lot could potentially happen. All right. Matthew writes in, love the podcast, all this. I want to take a second. Thank you for your breakdown of the draft and Steelers needs. It has improved my education of the entire NFL talent evaluation process. Big thanks for bringing Dave T. Thomas back on the podcast. A month ago, I would have wanted the Steelers to take a running back in round 2. However, you guys may have changed my thinking. Look, don't let us change your thinking. It's just whether or not we think they should there. Can I get your thoughts on which defensive lineman of the following list best fits the Steelers' needs at this time? What round would they get drafted? If you had a choice, who would it be? He's got Roy, Hamilton, Jones, Fotu, Lawrence, Gallimore, and Matabuke. I think Gallimore and Matabuke are square round 2 guys.
Mm-hmm. I really like Rashad Lawrence. I was watching Solomon Kinley from Georgia, and I happened to watch 2 LSU games, and so I was watching him go against Lawrence, and Lawrence just ate his lunch. I really like Rashad Lawrence in the 4th round.
Matt's from Warren, Michigan. I used to stomp around in there a little bit.
Yeah.
Warren, Michigan. I wonder if he went to Mott High or knows Mott High School. But anyway, my brothers went through there. Let's see. Roy, where do you have Roy? I got him anywhere from 4th to 6th.
Yeah, I mean, just I'll give the catch-all of day three. Day three is going to be so interesting this year. I mean, just in a normal year, boards become all over the place on day three. Day one, day two, everyone kind of has the same guys. They're just in a different order. Day three is, that's when it gets chaotic. And especially this year, you're going to have some teams that are going to draft guys in day three that other teams are going to have as undrafted players, tryout type guys. I think it's just going to be all over the map and even more difficult to predict and project.
Devon Hamilton, a round 4 guy.
Yeah, I've seen some projections push him a little bit higher than that. I still kind of get around 4, maybe late day 2 vibe. Yeah, I would say in that late day 2, early day 3 vibe.
I've fallen on after watching more tape, more people. You have to have you watch one guy and then you watch another guy. And the more you watch and deeper you get, to me, the further down Hamilton's kind of gone on my list a little bit, I think.
What about Lawrence? I think I really like.
He's another one I want to dig a little bit deeper into. You obviously feel he's like a round 3 guy, right?
Potentially. I still think round 4, right around there. He was the team captain after his sophomore year, which is really impressive for an LSU team. He's got good length, good pop, good fight, good hand punch, and he holds up against the run pretty well. So I like him more than Hamilton.
I thought Fotu with the injury concerns. I just didn't see it with Fotu. Did you?
I need to get into Fotu some more. Hopefully I'll be able to. I mean, he's kind of the more that classic type of production. He's got like 2 career sacks, I think. What are his numbers? And so you'd be going a little more old school on that. I don't know if he's going to give you the versatility you want. 4 career sacks. He did have 3.5 as a junior, only half a sack as a senior.
Benito Jones is a guy that we've kind of been sniffing around as potential that 6th or 7th round guy if they don't get get one earlier in the draft.
God help them if they go into a camp with McCullers and Benito Jones, though. They're asking for trouble. I really don't like Benito Jones that much.
All right, Matt, thanks for the email from Warren, Michigan. I know exactly where that is on the map.
Real quick, Dave, since you mentioned it, I don't have a big discussion about it, but I know a couple weeks ago you had said that you think it's a 10% chance they draft a running back at 49. Have those odds changed at all, or are you still at 10%?
I wouldn't go any higher than 15% just because of you think, the 4 or 5 going before then. And I'm not going to, I'll answer the question this way. I will not be shocked if they draft one in the 2nd round. My personal views are that they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. All right. But I will not be, and once again, if they do draft one, I hope they get one. I hope they get a good one right there at 49.
Yeah. Well, 15%. I mean, I've increased a little bit, so get your soundboard out and give me the stock up. I'm up to 33% chance they take a running back at 49, up from 25.
Why though? I mean, what has changed that?
Yeah, we're looking at this class a little bit more in depth and just thinking about, okay, what options? Because I do get the strong feeling they're going to go offense at 49. That's still vague, I know, but still that's where I'm coming in at. And so receiver, if the run happens on receivers, is the talent going to be there? Interior offensive line is not very good. The tackles are going to be gone. Tight ends aren't there. It's not going to be quarterback. So just kind of almost at a process of elimination, it kind of boosts running back a bit.
If they get one in the 2nd round, look, I like Taylor and I like Dobbins, but I'm just to me those guys are just more, they don't have the shiftiness to them,
Well, who was your top back again?
Swift.
Swift, okay. And your second was who? Taylor?
I think Taylor, yeah. I mean, just ranking them as how I think teams would probably rank them.
So if Swift were somehow there at 49, I mean, what do you think Pittsburgh?
I mean, look, it'd be hard to turn him down if he lasted that long. You'd almost worry what happened. Is there some sort of off the field issue or whatnot and all? I'd like to see these guys create in the backfield. Because in the NFL, 10 times a game, you don't have these 8-foot gaping holes.
Gil Brandt,
because I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you wanted to judge Taylor and Dobbins off their stats alone, and really just minimal big play tape, I mean, you say, boy, look at the big runs and look at the holes, man. I mean, those guys were running through huge holes, and when you go and you drill down deeper and see the forced misses, within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, you just don't see that with those guys. It's kind of feast or famine with those guys, I feel. And you're just not going to get those holes at the NFL level there. So I worry more about Taylor and Dobbins than at the NFL level than I do Swift, Edwards-Helaire, and a guy like Akers. But it still doesn't mean I'm jumping up cheering for those guys to be second-round picks.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I agree with you. I want guys who can create. That's why I have Edwards-Helaire at number 2, and I think Akers I had at number 3 on my list. But I mean, do you think they're going to go offensive 49? Does that feel more likely?
Well, I mean, if what does Ben know?
I don't know. What does Ben know?
Ben seems to think they'll go offense, right?
Right.
And then you look at the odds, man. This team's got defense and obviously it's been first round pick,
Yeah.
And when you look at overall, what are the hard needs or the positions that could most impact this team right out of the chute? It'll probably be offense, right?
And specifically, you could argue running back would be more impactful right away, just because how easy it is to transition to.
Well, and if they got the right one,
Yeah, of course they get the right one. I mean, so if we agree it's offense, it's more likely. We know tight end. We know it's not quarterback. Tight end is super unlikely. Tackle, probably not. I mean, maybe if the right guy falls, but I just don't know if the talent's going to be there. Interior offensive line is a possibility, but again, can you find the right guy? And then you're just kind of left with a receiver and running back.
Okay.
I mean, and so I think inherently.
But I mean, none of that's changed for most of the offseason anyway, though. I mean, regardless of what they've signed, done free agency wise, right?
Well,
I just wonder what is brought on. To me, it feels like you got peer pressured into raising your percentage.
I mean, I'm up to 33%. I'm not up to 75%. I mean, I'm only come up a little bit, but I just think about it some more. I think just trying to walk through it logically as we get, because I hadn't really thought about what positions. 2 months ago, I was just thinking about let me learn about these guys and who they are, and then obviously I think the signing of Ebron bumped down tight end pretty heavily, where I kind of cooled off my tight end rant, and so that kind of left me with running back and receiver.
All right, I feel a cover your ass situation here.
All right. I'm hedging my bets, Dave.
Look, I stay married to what I've said. The whole thing here is if they do draft one, it should be in the second, even though I don't think they should.
Yeah, and I don't think they should either for the reasons I stand by that, and I still think the odds are a lot lower than what most people think for all the reasons that I've said. But I've come up on the idea a little bit just like you. You came up on it basically as much as I did.
Sean Curley writes, long-time listener, Steelers doing good work. Well, just kidding. I listen every week. No, he says, long-time listener when the Steelers are doing good. No, just kidding. I listen every week. Do you see Roethlisberger being ready for training camp? ? Do you see him needing particularly more training camp snaps or preseason play series to get back in the saddle post right elbow surgery? I still feel the Steelers draft better than most teams, but what do you feel they can do to have a better draft this year with their limited picks? What's the big reason the Steelers haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2011 with very talented rosters over the years? I appreciate all you guys do. You guys are my go-to Steelers news. Keep up the good work. I'm a paramedic in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tired but trying to make a difference daily in these trying times we're in. Please stay safe. Thanks again, Sean. Sean, thanks for your work.
Sean, please stay safe, Sean. We're going to be okay. We want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, thank you for being on the front line and doing what you do there. Much appreciated. Now he's got a long list of questions here. Let's take Roethlisberger first. Yes, we think Roethlisberger will be ready for training camp. Do we see him needing more snaps, preseason play? No, not necessarily. I think they're going to be real diligent with him in that schedule as to not to overdo it. And will they get him into one preseason game? Yeah, probably. But I don't think you're going to see him handled much differently than you do than previous camps and preseasons.
I'm honestly not sure, because you could say let's give him more work because he needs it, because the dude hasn't thrown in basically a year, or you could say, well, let's not put that wear and tear and that stress on. So I think maybe it's a little bit played by ear. I don't know what plan they're gonna have, but I'd be very interested to know which direction they're gonna go, more or less work, because you could make arguments for both.
I practice social distancing with him.
What?
Huh?
What? Oh, you practice social with Ben and keep him away from.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I do a lot of I do a lot of 6 foot social.
Do you see one member of the Pittsburgh media throwing a jab at Juju and Mason Rudolph for training yesterday because they weren't social? Yeah, how dumb, how bored can you be to criticize players working out?
You know my thoughts on look.
Yeah.
There's very few major media that I can stand to listen to, especially come draft time. And I think the local media has even taken a step backwards, when it comes to the Steelers this offseason as well too. And
Yep.
I've never been a huge fan of most of them anyway. But anyway, let's see what can the Steelers do better this year's draft with their limited picks. It's kind of an open-ended question, I guess, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about finding talent. Hopefully you find guys who feel like they're NFL ready. You want to probably rely, like I said, they're going to do hearts and smarts on steroids. I'll probably write an article about that early next week. We could just focus on guys that familiar with, they don't have medical issues, don't have character issues, and guys you just feel like you're the most familiar with. So I think they may go with more seniors at the top than they might have in past years. But, yeah, it's hard to really answer that with a great concrete answer.
The best answer I'd give is learn from your past mistakes with your Jarvis Jones and your Artie Burns, and I don't know if you want to throw Edmonds in there yet, but a guy that might have been a little bit overdrafted, you can fall in love with him a little bit too much, I think, and get a little blind there. That's about the best I can answer that. Let's see. What is the big reason the Steelers haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2011? Well,
the secondary sucked.
Yeah.
Quick answer I can give you.
You can't just have the sacks. You got to have the takeaways. You can't expect Ben to drive 75 yards down the field and that goes back to takeaways and things like that. 5,000, 6,000 yards passing is nice, but it shouldn't be needed. And also, I think I think in the playoffs a couple years after losing Shazier, I think they made a humongous mistake with Sean Spence. That I know one player doesn't decide everything there, but boy, it sure seemed to that defense sure seemed to be crippled.
Yeah. There's poor secondary decisions overall. Just didn't have a secondary they could cover. Could match up against receivers. Could take the football away. And so obviously you could talk about the individual decisions, but just broadly, you're talking about why haven't they made a Super Bowl in a decade? The defense wasn't good enough, and particularly the secondary was at points among the worst in football.
Fair enough. Let's go on, see if we can get a few more questions in here. Let's see. Just want to let you guys provide good escape from the world from me. Thank you. My question is, which defensive tackle do you like more at pick 49, Matabuke or Gallimore? I think we talked a little bit about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I would have you'd have Matabuke better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like them both, but I go Matabuke.
Okay. Let's see here. Almost draft time. This from Bryce. A couple thoughts. In your opinion, from 1 to 4 right now, how would you rank inside linebacker groups of the AFC North? Wow. That's a question maybe to answer after the draft, right?
Yeah, I'm not even looking at the list right now. I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shakeups, too, with Schobert leaving and Baltimore undergoing some changes. I just couldn't give you a good answer.
Yeah,
right.
Bryce, ask us about time training camp starts.
Bengals probably last, as they have been hanging out for a couple of years now.
He says he sees the signing of Derek Watt as not only a boost to special teams, but also a nod to the influence of Matt Canada on the offense. At Pitt, he helped establish a diverse power running game that utilized the fullback in a variety of ways and also implemented a diverse motions and formations. To me, Canada showed a little bit of that Kyle Shanahan type of disguise in his run game action. Steelers could use a little bit more of that. Your thoughts and analysis. Look, I mean, how much are you going to still be able to get Watt on the field percentage of play wise?
Yeah, about 10%, I would say.
All right, let's see even if we got it to 15% somehow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You damn sure better have 2 tight ends to play along with him of some sort that can get it done in a run game. And, oh, yeah, you better be able to throw. I'm tired of seeing those heavy looks and almost, guaranteeing you're going to run out of them.
Yeah, I don't see Matt Canada's hire as the reason they went out and got Derek Watt. I don't think the George Aston vibes at Pitt compelled the team to go get Derek Watt. I think Art Rooney's mandate, fix the running game, was a driver behind that. I think the owner obviously has a lot more sway than the quarterback coach, and so I think that was the one of the reasons why they went after Derek Watt.
Because of Nick's and getting older, and I thought Nick slipped last year. Now, how much was it?
Well, it wasn't healthy.
Right. How much of it was injury related? Okay. He obviously caught back on with the Colts quick, right? So expect to see him blocking for Mack over there, and of course making an impact on special teams. Watt just a little bit newer model, I guess, right? But with all that said, it's still going to be limited usage on offense with Watt.
Yeah, but certainly this team was the worst in short yard situations last year, like by far the worst, and having a fullback is going to help them be able to convert some of those 3rd and 4th and short moments.
All right, Nick Nepok writes in, of the top, let's say, 10 or so players in this draft class, do you have favorites and why? I realize you guys probably haven't watched all of them, considering there's no chance they will be Steelers, but if you have answered, that would be great. Also, happy birthday, Dave. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the birthday wish there. Here's the thing. Alex and I have a lot of time, and we obviously can watch a lot of prospects, but there's still a limit until I'm able to clone myself of how much I can do in a day and over a whole pre-draft period, So, no, we don't properly watch tape on the top 150 players.
Especially in a year where they don't have a first-round pick, where you just know for sure that some of those guys aren't going to be even anywhere close. I don't have anyone in particular. I mean, Okudah, the corner from Ohio State, is really impressive. I like Patrick Queen, the linebacker from LSU. Of course, Joe Burrow is an amazing prospect. Worfs from Iowa is really interesting and a really good, solid dude. So Cleveland, if he goes that high, I'm a big Ezra Cleveland fan as well.
There's tons of them we can name off here. The Alabama, Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, one of them, definitely.
The receivers they have there.
Lamb and Judy are both incredible. They're the tape. Kinlaw's fun to watch. We rolled him out early,
Yeah. Some concerns about Kinlaw's medical apparently is popping up, hips and knees.
I'm trying to think of who else in maybe the top. I don't know. Cleveland was fun to watch. I've done a lot of tape study on obviously Jefferson.
Yep, Justin Jefferson
is another guy. Boy, is there any chance that kid falls?
Not
I wouldn't think
Pittsburgh.
so, right?
No. I would love that, but nope.
Where does Gil has him 31st overall there? Who are some later round guys that you just enthralled with, if you can be? Mims is another one. Boy, you watch that Baylor tape. Pittman's fun to watch.
Yeah, are you asking like later rounds as in day 3 guys or later?
Yeah.
First round guys. I'd have to look. I'm sure there are guys. I'm trying to think of someone that's just jumping to mind right now.
Boy, Ruggs is another guy early, that just jumps off the tape at you. There's a lot of wide receivers in this class for obvious reasons.
Class is ridiculous. Absolutely.
A lot of the tackles are fun to watch. Here's the thing though, and back to what we said there. Nick, a lot of these guys we just don't drill down deep on.
Yeah. Just don't have the time for it. Got to be Steelers focused.
Let's see.
Chase Young, obviously you mentioned Chase Young, one of the best players in the draft.
Brett now writes in, let's see, he likes to mock drafts on the site. First of all, they're one of my favorite parts of the pre-draft process, certain scenarios, blah, blah, blah. For me, these are very instructive, not only about players the team may like, but also what round they might consider. I know sometimes it's a thankless job. My question is, do you ever look back on those mock drafts to see how close you got? And have you ever done studies to see which is more accurate? I I've always had my suspicion that early mock drafts are more accurate than mocks at the end process when media attention is skewed things. Would you consider doing a study sometime in the future? No, I would not. Because it's a mock is a losing proposition to start with in these things. I like to tailor these things to a couple things. Players I think the Steelers will be interested in, and pretty much it. It's all a guessing game when it comes to round. Now, obviously, the longer this thing goes on, you tend to think that you get a better idea of what guys will be gone, first couple rounds and all like that. But I mean, there's such gaps in between picks and all. I mean, it really is a thankless job. So, and that's why, I guess it depends if you got a hold of one of the mock draft engines where you thought along the lines of where the guy that put, it's all subjective in there, So I hate them. I absolutely hate them. I do them because I have to do them. And have I been good at them in the past? I'll tell you this. I seem to be better at mocks. In my own personal history, I seem to be better at my mocks the less information I have on a player. Does that make sense?
Kind of, but why do you think you're more effective?
I don't know. It seems if you look back at my early mock drafts every year, I have identified probably more players in those guys than my final mocks.
Yeah, I mean, this probably a paralysis by analysis where I know I will overthink things. I feel like I'm better at the end. Maybe like my next to last mock might be better than my final.
And that tends to be sometimes me, especially recently,
Yeah,
my
but I
next
feel
to
like
last
we've gotten hits. Like, I mean, I got Benny Snell. I'm really still proud of the Benny Snell call last year. But I got Terrell Edmonds in the second round. He went first round, but I had him. I had Watt. I had Dupree. So at the top, I feel like I've been strong. Obviously, once you get past the first pick or two, it becomes a crapshoot. But I think we do a decent job.
I mean, you could obviously do very good in one mock draft one year, and it not be, and not play a damn role in how you do moving forward. Look, I mean, several years ago, I hit the top 3 picks in my final mock draft. Right. I'll probably never do that again. When it comes to those top 3. Now, I had the second and the third round swapped, but I had the right.
Brown and Gilbert, Curtis Brown?
It was Gilbert and Brown and who was it? Hayward? Who was it that year? Hold on a minute here.
Oh, let's see.
Was that 2011?
That would have been Hayward. Little scroll. Yeah, Hayward, Gilbert, Curtis Brown, Cortez Allen, Chris Carter, Keith Williams, Baron Batch was the 11 class.
All right. And, where's my do you have my mock pulled up there?
I don't have your mock from 2011 pulled up on here. It's not bookmarked, believe it or not, but I do.
You should.
I should. But yeah, I do remember you having Gilbert, Brown. I think you probably had Hayward there too. I mean, that one.
I thought we looked at this.
Well, I think we did, yeah, but I don't. It was like at least a month ago, and I don't recall it.
Yeah, I don't have it up in front of me, but I know I hit the first three in there, and I had the. I'm trying to see if I can find it here.
Oh, it's a good way to get us to the 2-hour mark of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so we'll have mock drafts from everybody. By the way,
is it worth doing studies?
No, that just kind of feels like self-aggrandizing. Look how good of a job I did. It's not worth. Not enough people are going to care about it, nor should they. No. So no offense, I'm not going to do a study on that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Here's one other thing, real quick on those things. I like to be able to, in my final mocks, I would like to try to list anywhere between 40 to 50 people in total. The whole players considered thing. I do that less in my early mocks because why? But I tend to do them in my final mock drafts because I like to have a list of about 40 or 50 players and see if I can identify as many of the actual picks that ended up being in those players. I think if you list a name of 50 players in total and a good 5 or 6 of those guys, depending on how many selection you have in a year, obviously, wind up being the picks. I think that's outstanding.
Mm-hmm. I found your 2011 mock draft, and yeah, dude, you nailed the heck out of this draft in like a million ways. So you had Hayward in the first, you had Curtis Brown in the second, Gilbert in the third. So those two were flipped, but still, I mean, that's incredible. And then you have your others considered, which I don't think you do anymore. You should bring that back just to increase the chances of being right. That's why.
But you're not right though.
Well, I know, but I can hedge in my.
Well, that's what I just said in my final draft. In my final mock, I like to list the others considered. Usually, I don't know if I did it last year or not, but have a good 40 or 50 names at least in your final mock and see if you can hit a lot of those.
Right. And so in that mock, in round 5, you had Julius Thomas at tight end, but your others considered, you had Cortez Allen. You also had Stephen Ridley, who later on became a Steeler. In round 6, you had Mario Harvey, the linebacker. Didn't he become a Steeler at some point?
I think he did.
Yeah, or am I getting him confused? But in your others considered, you had Keith Williams, who became their 6th-round pick that year. And in round 7, you had Darrell Scott, who wasn't drafted by them, but you also had Corbin Bryant, who was signed, I think, as a UDFA that year. So, I mean, that's about as good as it's ever going to get for a mock draft.
I think so. So I win.
You win. You'll be chasing that the rest of your life.
All right, I'm the winner. Let's see. Philip writes in. Phil from Wyoming. Is this the first email we've gotten from Wyoming? Maybe. Phil writes in, I always hear that the best defenses are strongest down the middle. Of the current starters on defense, which of these is the most glaring weakness? Mika Fitzpatrick, Devin Bush, Big Dan McCullers.
Okay, well, give your 3 guesses, Dave.
The softball question there. It's got to be McCullers there. The Steelers haven't addressed the nose tackle position in free agency, have shown that they will go and get a player early if they need or like him. So don't you think one of the first 2 picks must be a nose tackle? If you could pick any nose tackle in the draft, who would it be? Look, Alex is probably going to be throwing something if they don't get a nose tackle in the 2nd or 3rd round.
They have to do 2 things by the time they're out of the 4th round, assuming they don't make any trades. By the time they're done with 135, they need to have taken a nose tackle, they need to have taken a safety. If they don't do either of those things, they're in big trouble.
Okay.
So I'm not even saying they have to do it in the 2nd round, but at least by the 4th round.
If you could pick any nose tackle in the draft, who would it be? You've been on Gallimore for a while, haven't you?
What's that?
You've been on Gallimore for a while.
I have, but Matty Buquet's that late summer fling. I'm going Matty Buquet, I think.
Okay. All right. I like that Roy kid out of Baylor, but I mean, the chances of that happening with him not being a combine inviters are very, very slim. All right, Phil from Wyoming, thanks for the question. Boy, we've eaten up 2 hours here, so that's we probably should cut it off right here. We'll be back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week. So get those questions.
Saturday.
and Saturday and
Sunday.
And maybe Sunday too. So a lot of podcasts coming down. Get those questions in now. TheTerriblePodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter @Steelers Depot, follow Alex @Alex_Kozora, follow the show @Terrible Podcast. Once again, email the show TheTerriblePodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do, did we entertain you this draft season here? You want to donate to the cause, go to SteelersDepot.com, hit the PayPal button, upper right navigational bar to send a secure donation that way. Thanks for all of you who have done that. We appreciate it. Also, if you'd like an ad-free version of SteelersDepot.com, go to the site, hit the ad-free button, upper right navigational bar, and sign up for $25 that way as well. Thanks for everybody's time. Everybody continue to stay safe. Thanks for all the great emails. Thanks for all the support to the site. As always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.